So, thank you everyone for joining today. Before we begin, today is a special webinar day because we are having a co-host today. Thank you, Lucía Norris, for co-hosting the webinar. I will give you the word in a minute. But first, I wanted to share with all of you some practical notes. I am Martin Valese, also from the Global Deposit and Return platform. And today we will have speakers that are going to talk in English and also in Spanish. So there is interpretation available in the panel. You can choose from one of both languages, the one that suits you better. Then we will also have a Q&A session at the end, and we invite you to share your questions through the Q&A application. You can also find it there under the panel. We will, of course, be selecting questions to take during the webinar. Probably there's going to be more questions that we will take on later, and we will upload both questions and also the video. This is going to be recorded on our website for further reference and for those who were not able to join today. And now also Cesar, that's also part of the Global DRS team, will share a poll with you all. It's a very quick poll. We just want to know where the people that are joining come from. Just for reference, we do this in every webinar we're doing. And this webinar, as I was saying, we have been doing webinars every 2 months. This year, that's the plan actually. And today we're going to focus specifically on islands, DRS and islands. Many of you are already following these sessions, and we encourage you to stay tuned for our next webinar that's going to take place on the 15th of April. I will share a little bit more of information at the end of the webinar. As I said before, this is being recorded, and that's it basically. So Lucia, please take the mic now, and let's begin.
Thanks so much, Martin, and it's such an honor for me to be part of this webinar today. We are going to have, as you say, a very interesting topic on how returnability is posing solutions in our islands, in the island ecosystems, and also in remote territories. I think we are all familiar to the fact that marine littering is an unfair burden that islands have, especially because this littering comes mostly from outside of the islands, from external sources. And also, plastic pollution is an ever-growing problem in islands that are the result of the wide usage of single-use plastics, mainly. So we are also seeing in islands hope, because we're seeing that returnability is coming back. In islands, we used to do everything with returnability not very long ago. So it's basically going to our roots. Our reuse systems. So we're seeing those reuse systems coming back, and this is a space where we want to share also that, not just the problems, but also the solutions that we are seeing. So today it will be quite a journey going from Rapa Nui with Kissy to Seychelles, and with an interesting stop at London via Brazil. So we will know how the littering problem affects Rapa Nui and remote territories, thanks to the perspective of Kissy. And then we will dive into the benefits of potential solutions based on extended producer responsibility policies through the experience of Thais from Common Seas. And last but not least, thanks to Camille, we will have the opportunity to get her first-hand experience
de primera mano la experiencia de un territorio.
Has put in place a deposit and return scheme to deal with beverage containers. So please, I would like to welcome Kissy. Kissy, I will give an introduction for you before you start. Kissy is from Rapa Nui. She's a Polynesian indigenous from Rapa Nui and is currently based in France. She's actively involved in island-led initiatives addressing environmental protection, circular economy, and community resilience. Kissy contributes to international missions through the Fundación Ariana Rapa Nui, also the Tangaroa Alliance, and supports ocean protection, sustainable island development, and cooperation among island territories. Kissy also serves as International Director of Fundación Mujer Activa, accompanying processes that strengthen women's leadership, community empowerment, and social innovation in Rapa Nui and in other island contexts. In addition, Kissy is Vice President of the NGO Break Chile Rapa Nui, where Kissy supports cultural cooperation initiatives between Rapa Nui, France, and Chile, focused on education, art, the ocean, traditional navigation, and the preservation of culture and heritage. Welcome, Kissy. We are very happy that you are here.
Thank you, Lucía. Gracias, Lucy. Bueno, soy Kissy de Rapa Nui y yo les voy a hablar del contexto ambiental de Rapa Nui, el origen de contaminación por plástico que llega a Rapa Nui, sus impactos sobre...
Perfecto. Ahora sí. Thank you very much. Por favor, Kissy.
Ya, adelante. Entonces, sobre Rapa Nui, les quería contar la parte ambiental, la especificidad de Rapa Nui, el origen de todo de la contaminación plástico que llega a Rapa Nui, los impactos sobre el medio ambiente y la vida social de Rapa Nui, en la economía y todas las soluciones e iniciativas que la comunidad trata de implementar para luchar contra esta contaminación. Bueno, Rapa Nui es una isla alejada del continente, está a 3.700 kilómetros del continente de América, kilómetros de la Polinesia Francesa, al medio del Pacífico, y la especificidad de esta isla es que está al medio de corrientes del Pacífico que trae todo lo que viene de los otros territorios como basura, como biodiversidad también, pero sobre todo como plástico estos últimos años. Y es una isla donde hay un patrimonio arqueológico y cultural potente que está inscrito en UNESCO como Patrimonio Mundial de la Humanidad. Y es una isla chiquitita donde llegan muchos turistas al año, más de 100.000, con poca agua, con una energía que depende del petróleo, entonces muy frágil y con todo lo que es gestión de residuos es muy complicado. Siguiente, Martín. Entonces, bueno, eso todo ya se lo contextualicé. Mira, esto ahí, más arriba, un poquito más arriba, Martín. El mapa, donde se ve el Pacífico, para mostrarles, porque es súper importante entender cómo llega el plástico a Rapa Nui desde los continentes y está debido a las corrientes que están en el Pacífico. Entonces se ve América Latina en la derecha, el Pacífico Sur, Australia, etcétera, a la izquierda, y Rapa Nui está al medio de esta zona roja donde llegan las corrientes y por ahí viene todo lo plástico importado por el mar, digamos. Entonces, a Rapa Nui no solamente llegan plástico desde afuera por el mar, por el océano, pero también llegan por importación, porque todo lo que llega a Rapa Nui, todo lo que se consume en Rapa Nui es importado. Hay un consumo más altísimo desde los últimos años que va creciendo, un consumo de botella plástico, de botella mucha botella de Coca-Cola, botellas de, no solamente por la población en Rapa Nui, pero también por la primera actividad de Rapa Nui, que es el turismo. Entonces, esto en 2022 y 2023, a
Disculpa,
mitad de 2022,
Kissy, perdón. Seguimos con problemas de conexión.
Lucy.
Sí, disculpa, seguimos con problemas de conexión, no te podemos escuchar bien. Entonces, quisiera pedirte, de favor, si podrías tal vez eh, darnos como unas 3 ideas importantes y vamos a enviar a todos tu presentación al final para que puedan seguirla, porque no te podemos seguir bien. Thanks so much, Kissy. And I would like to just say that it's so important, this last message that you're leaving us with, that we have just one ocean, right? We try to divide in Atlantic, Pacific, but and all of the oceans, but in reality we just have one. And and we need to understand that anything that we do in one place will affect in a positive or in a negative way in the islands, especially from the coastal ecosystems, and also the littering that comes from the fleets. That is a problem that we all have, and that we have to work together and to create alliances to tackle this problem, because islands cannot do it by themselves. So now, thanks so much, Kissy. We will send everyone your presentation. And now I would like to welcome Thais Vojvodic. Thais, I'm sorry, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing well your
Great.
last. Thank you. Thank you, Thais, for coming. I would like to give a small introduction for everyone to get to know you. Thais is from Brazil. She's currently based in London. She has 15 years of professional experience and currently leads Common Seas, partnership with governments, Common Seas partnerships with governments, supporting countries that are disproportionately affected by the triple planetary crisis to significantly reduce their plastic pollution. Thais works especially with small island developing states and small coastal economies, and she closely follows the UN Global Plastics Treaty negotiations. Thais has previously worked for the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, leading the Plastic Pack Network and the Coca-Cola Company when she worked with waste workers and reusable packaging at scale in Latin America. Welcome, Thais. It's an honor to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with the other speakers and yourself. Should I start my presentation? Okay, great.
Yes,
so
please.
I brought a few slides. Give me a second. Hopefully you can see my screen. Yes. Okay, great. So hello everyone. As Lucia introduced me, I'm Thais, and I'm part of Common Seas. And just to give a brief introduction about Common Seas, we are a UK-based organization, and our mission is to stop the flow of plastic pollution, to protect our health, our ocean, and our future. So we do have programs focused on policy, on research on impacts of plastic pollution in human health, and also education program. But I lead the policy program, and we're going to be focusing more on this program in my presentation today. The main focus of our work, of our policy work, is the co-development of national action plans to end plastic pollution, especially in small island developing states. So a national action plan is usually an overarching plan based on like an evidence-based plan that highlights what's the current situation of plastic pollution in a country, and then what are the most effective policy interventions that can reduce this amount of plastic pollution in the coming 10 years. We have partners all around the world. We work in the Caribbean with Barbados, Grenada, and St. Lucia. We work in West Africa with the Gambia and Guinea-Bissau, in the Pacific with Tuvalu and Papua New Guinea, and we have previously worked with the Maldives. When we develop our national action plans, they are they are these overarching plans where we model the most effective policy interventions to reduce plastic pollution. And usually one of the outcomes is this diagram that I'm sharing here on the left of the screen. This is the example of St. Lucia. So in every country that we work with, we identify what's the baseline of plastic pollution in the coming, what's the expectation of growth of plastic pollution in the coming 10 years, and then different policy strategies that are able to draw down this curve. Based on we have a modeling tool called Plastic Drawdown, and it helps us identifying these potential policy interventions. And what I brought here as part of the presentation is that, of course, there is a range of policies that support plastic reduction, both upstream and downstream policies. But DRS and EPR are consistently identified in the mix of upstream and downstream measures. So giving the example of St. Lucia, I'm going to focus my presentation mainly in EPR starting from the next slide, but I just wanted to mention also that DRS is constantly part of the recommendations that we do among our country partners. And St. Lucia, for example, we have identified the beverage and other plastic bottles are the most commonly leaked plastic item in St. Lucia. They represent 12% of the microplastic waste in 2024. That was year one. And we have identified that DRS could result in cumulatively a reduced 2,400 tons of reduction of the amount of plastic waste being landfilled, and 32 tons reduction in plastic becoming marine litter by 2035. So the DRS was the second most impactful policy in terms of plastic pollution reduction, and the most impactful in terms of avoidance in the case of St. Lucia. This tonnage that I'm sharing, if we're talking about a massive country, they might sound small, but in an island context, this is very relevant. We're talking about relevant numbers. There is already a bill, the Management of Beverage Containers Bill, that has been in the making for more than 20 years in St. Lucia. So there has been appetite and dedication from the government to develop a DRS scheme in St. Lucia. However, this has been taking a lot of time. And our findings have helped to further solidify and provide quantitative justification to prioritize this bill, especially given the lack of landfill space in the islands. So in the islands only landfill, there is an estimation that this landfill have 6 to 8 years of capacity remaining. So this is just to give an example of how of course, there is a lot already going on in the countries that we're working with, but we are able to support with quantifying how much a policy intervention such as DRS has the potential of reduction of plastic pollution in the country in the coming years. And then I wanted to give the example of EPR. So EPR is also very consistently identified as an opportunity in countries like, for example, in Barbados, Papua New Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau. In the National Action Plan that we developed with Barbados, the 5 strategies that were highlighted as priorities have the potential to reduce plastic pollution by 73% in 10 years, and EPR was one of those strategies. However, EPR has emerged all over the world, but not so much in small island states. So there are more than 400 EPR schemes worldwide. There is growing support from the private sector for such scheme. 75% of the EPR schemes have started in the past 20 years, and there is a lot of focus on research dedicated to exploring EPR, especially in developing countries, as this is a mechanism that started in Europe. So there is a very interesting report from CGF, for example, that focuses on how EPR could be designed in low and middle income countries, for instance. But few seeds have fully implemented EPR so far. And because of our experience working with seeds and us identifying EPR as an opportunity, we started understanding that there are some barriers for implementation of EPR that are specific to the circumstances of seeds and remote geographies. Therefore, we have started a research report to understand this underexplored topic of EPR for seeds. And we had an assumption that we wanted to explore how EPR could be adapted to address the unique challenges of seeds and remote geographies. And we developed that in a collaborative way together with Circular and with an advisory group formed by organizations like RAP, Africa Circular, Portsmouth University, UNSPAC, UNAP, GIZ, and others, and a lot of we have a big consultation process with interviews across Indian Ocean, Caribbean, and Pacific with multiple stakeholders from those regions. It was a one-year project. We started it in December 24, and with a lot of steps, a lot of research, a lot of consultations, getting to the point of launching, publishing this research back in November 25. Back in November 2025. This QR code takes you to the report, but I'm also happy to share in the link in the chat after if people don't have the chance to see it. So back in November, we have announced, we have published this research that is very comprehensive and very lengthy, but we have also launched a vision paper, which is like a summarized version of this report that has been endorsed by more than 40 organizations, signaling that there is a strong support from different sectors to such an idea of a regional EPR approach, because the focus was to identify how EPR could be adapted to seeds reality, and our approach has been how a harmonized approach and how neighboring seeds or neighboring countries could work together to tackle a number of challenges that are particular to small countries, especially small coastal countries and seeds. So we had organizations like CTO, like Nestle, like WWF, so different stakeholders from different perspectives endorsing this work. And now, to finalize my presentation, I brought a few highlights of this new research, just to give you a little bit of content of what the research brought. But I would encourage you to take a look at the research itself that I'm going to share after my presentation. So the main question of the research was, could a coordinated regional approach to EPR offer a solution to challenges faced by remote geographies? So we wanted to help addressing known solid waste management challenges of seeds, such as low economies of scale, isolated locations, legacy plastics, not efficient logistics. So could a regional approach tackle those challenges and increase efficiency and impact of EPR schemes, such as provide greater influence on product design, less risk of free riders, expand to include brands as islands, as mentioned by Kissy. They are so much import-based economies. So how can connections not only with importers and distributors, but also brands become more viable through a regional approach? And we also explored a number of co-benefits that could come from a regional approach. So the focus of the report was how, we tried to develop a framework of how a regional EPR could look like and how would that work, analyzing the material flows, the fees, and which actors would be involved in such a scheme. And then this report is structured, divided in different elements of an EPR scheme, analyzing pros and cons of different elements. So it's not an arbitrary report. We are not saying it should be designed like that, but we analyzed all the legal basis and institutional setups of a EPR, regional EPR scheme, operational flows and markets, financial flows, the governance and enforcement, and we analyzed like elements like if it should be voluntary or mandatory, if it should have a single administrator or multiple administrators, and so on. And we analyze pros and cons, and we have a recommendation for each one of those design elements. So this is how the report is structured, and there are a few conclusions of this report, which is, of course, EPR is not a silver bullet. There is a number of policies that, like, number of solutions that should take place, but EPR could be part of the solution. And when tailored to the reality of SIDS, our regional EPR approach has the potential to significantly reduce waste, the under-resourced national waste systems. By pooling resources and aligning regulatory efforts, SIDS can increase their leverage with producers and exporters and improve the economics of waste processing and work collectively to access regional or international end markets for recyclables. While the report outlines the key design elements and theoretical options for considering the design of original EPR schemes for SIDS, the successful design and implementation of such system will be highly context dependent. We developed a framework that is more generic, and then to apply that to any specific region or specific group of countries, it needs additional work and additional adaptation, because the characteristics of individual islands would definitely shape what is feasible. So finally, sorry.
Sorry, Thais.
Slide. Yes.
Yeah, please. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm wrapping up.
Thank you.
My final slide is just to say that we are now working in practice with the Indian Ocean Commission, with exploring how this theoretical framework could be implemented among Indian Ocean SIDS. So I'm gonna share my email address with you. So if there is any questions or comments, feel free to get in touch with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thais. Please do add the link of the report on the chat so that everyone that could not take the picture of the QR code can follow this report. And thanks so much for sharing with us the knowledge that you have on these extended producer responsibility systems. I'm very looking forward to reading the report. Now I would like to welcome Camille Mondon Renaud. Since setting in Seychelles in 2019, Camille has been working with the Landscape and Waste Management Agency, the national authority responsible for waste management. And since 2024, the agency has been overseeing the deposit refund scheme, which was introduced by the government in 2007 for plastic beverage bottles and later extended to include aluminum cans and glass bottles. Welcome, Camille. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Lucia, for inviting me to this webinar, and good morning or good afternoon, everyone. So yes, my name is Camille, and I'm settled in Seychelles since 5 years now. So I'm going to present you how the deposit refund scheme is working. I'm going to share my screen. Share option. Okay, do you see it?
Yes. Now we can see it. Thanks, Camille.
Is it in the presentation mode or you see my
No,
PowerPoint?
we see the PowerPoint.
Okay. Okay, so now it's okay.
Yes, now it is.
So perfect. So how is so first and foremost? So where is Seychelles? But Thais just talk about you and show you a map of Indian Ocean. So yes, it's an archipelago in the Indian Ocean with a lot of islands. Only 3 are the main ones. We don't have a lot of people living here, but it's high biodiversity states. We have a big economic zone, and tourism and fisheries are the two main economic pillars of the country. So we really rely on a beautiful and clean island to make our economy works. So yes, as a seed, we met a lot of challenges. We are, of course, a sensitive ecosystem. So have a bad waste management, we really impact, like I said, the tourism, but also the environment and so on. So we don't have a lot of space. So we really need to optimize our waste management infrastructures, find place as much as we can, but it's really, really difficult in our country. Also, as a seed, we are really dependent of everything. So we import a lot of products, food, but also furniture and so on. So we really have a lot of packaging, unfortunately. So that we need to deal with, and the DRS is one of the solutions that helped to reduce the amount of the packaging that we have. Of course, where we are, we also have an issue with the shipments. It's really expensive to export what we have, and sometimes the maritime roads are not practical for what we would like to do. And the budget, like with the money, it's also an issue in all the country. How the waste management is working in Seychelles. So there is two main entities. So the Ministry of Environment, Climate, Energy and Natural Resources, and we fall under this ministry. So we manage the waste. We are in charge of the households waste. We manage the different landfill sites, and since you said, Lucia, 24, but maybe I made a mistake. It's since 22. So we coordinate the deposit system as the agency instead of the ministry that was the one in charge of it since the beginning. So we have these policy frameworks with different acts and plans, but Seychelles as well wanted to ban different items to reduce the amount of waste coming in the landfills. So since 2017, we banned the plastic bags, then the utensils, also the polystyrene boxes, and 2019 the plastic straws, and the last one was the balloons in 2021. So probably most of you know how is the deposit system and what is it, but this system, it's when we combine a tax, when we purchase an item that can be packaging, but it's also different type of things. And when this amount, this eco tax or this levy can be refunded when you return it after your consumption. So this allows to reintegrate the product into a new life cycle. It can be recycle. It definitely reduce the amounts of waste going to the landfill, and it also avoid to use new raw material for the design of new containers in our case, but it can also be it's a case for different type of products. In bigger country or continent like Europe, it also helps to avoid and reduce the cost of importation. But in our case, this doesn't have really an impact on us because we are still dependent of importation to receive new bottles or new packaging and so on. So just a short view of the Indian Ocean region. So one of the most deposit refund scheme that we maybe are more aware of is the beer system for the that drink. So in Madagascar, it exists on the beer and also on the small glass soda soft drink that can be refilled. In La Réunion, it's also the same project with the beers, and in Seychelles we also have this. So for the beers and also small glass bottles in small alcoholic glass bottles, and even soda soft drinks. So each country has also its different way of doing. For example, in Reunion Island, because I come from here, we can say that there is the different collection points. People keep at them place, but they also have a kind of, they can rely on a list of approved, excuse me, collector that can come at your place. And it's easy, the contact are easily foundable, and you can easily contact them for them to come to collect your waste. Excuse me again. So the deposit refund scheme in Seychelles is a government-run model that has been gradually implemented in the country. So it started in 27, and for that they also create a trust fund to manage the levies. So in 27, the beverage PET bottles. Then in 2012, they introduced the beverage in cans, and in 2018, they introduced the alcoholic beverage glass bottles. So how does the system work? So we have a bill of entry where all the importers declare what is coming in the country. And upon of this declaration, there is a levy applying on all the targeted items. Once in the country, so the items are spread everywhere in the country in the different shops at the different retailers. So the consumer purchase and consume the goods. And after, once they finish, they will definitely dispose it. And they will dispose at some municipal bin sites, and mainly the informal sector enter in the loop and collect those items. Unfortunately, we don't have sorting bins at the moment. This is a question. This is a project that we will implement soon, I hope. But at the moment, the informal sector is taking care of the deposit refund scheme for us. So the levy is enough sufficient incentive for them to collect at the different bin sites, and then they will bring at the redeem center, where the redeem center will buy the PET bottles, the cans, and the glass bottles, and after they will bring to the processors for processing. So, like I said, so customs collect the levy at the port, and this money is transferred to the waste management fund. And then every month the Redeem Center send their invoices to this trust fund to receive the payment of all the bottles that they manage. And this is overseen by the Landscape and Waste Management Agency. So on a to have a financial view of how it works. So there is ₹1. The importers pay ₹1 on the PET bottles. That this is the full one if you imported a juice already in the PET bottles, but it also applies on all the preforms for the bottlers, the local bottlers that are going to fill bottle here in Seychelles, so like water bottles or soft drinks. And in this money, so a part goes back to the population. So the half of it, 50 cents, go back to the consumers. So in our case, it's mainly to the informal sector. And the other half is spread between the redeem centers. So it's a kind of handling fee. And the other part go back to the waste management fund to help to pay the staff of the agency, the LWMA, that are overseeing the process. And if there is excess at one point, this can be used for other environmental or waste-related projects. So it's the same process for the cans. The percentage is it's a bit different. Don't tell me why it's like this. I won't be able to tell you why they decided that. For the glass bottles, it's a bit different. So as the market is more difficult to sell the shredded glass, the levy is also more. It's the deposit, the tax that the importers pay is more expensive. It's ₹2 instead of 1. And ₹1 go back to the consumers, and the ₹1 left is spread between the redeem center as the PET and cans. But the other part is directly given to the processors for them to shred, to receive the glass bottles and shred the bottles to the company. So how many redeem centers we have? We have 4 on our main island, that is Mahé, and we have 1 in the 2 other mains at Pralin and La Digue. So we try to communicate about it to make it more visible for all the population and not only rely on the informal sector. So it's getting there step by step. So to explain how it works. So in 24, so this is the data for 24, then more than 17 million of beverage PET bottles have been brought to the redeem centers. So the redeem centers I think I won't say it's totally true, but I think every 5 years there is a public tenders for call for the management of the redeem centers and also the operation, the processing system. So, like I said, the redeem center receive a fee, but the processors, they don't receive any payment. They will only rely on the exportation of the product, the flex, and so on. So I think I've got the data. So yes, the processors. So for the cans, they will put them in bale. They will bale it. The PET bottles will become in flex, and the glass will be shred. So the can and the PETs, there is a market, and the processors will sell their product. So we also had some years ago, it was not at the beginning, so everything came step by step with experiencing how it works. So we saw that for the processors, it's difficult when, for example, the bottles are not clean, full of soil, because sometimes the informal sector will just go in the nature and find some bottles, but those bottles are maybe too much dirty. So they still bring it at the redeem center. They will receive their money back, but once arrived at the recycler, it's difficult and it maybe damage their shredder and so on. So we came with kind of different rules, small rules, to help the system going. So the bottle must be empty and clean. And also we need to remove the bottle caps and labels on the PET. Same for the beverage cans, but this is quite easier. And for the glass bottles as well. So how at the bill of entry, how the custom knows what is it's entering the country. So it's based on the HS codes. So it's a code that is being used everywhere in the world. So all the same items have the same codes. And so what we can see in Seychelles, those data, it's quite old, but that we can see the main items that we have in terms of that entering it into this deposit refund scheme. It's the PET bottles coming from the bottlers, the local bottlers. 95% comes from the preforms. So, like I said, this is the process. Yes,
Camille, sorry, we would love to have some minutes for questions. We have some questions from the public. If we could wrap up, I would really appreciate it so that we can share with you the questions.
I will try to go fast. So this I told you. So we have the, but I can't move anymore. Wait. The fact you see, there is five slides left, so it will be fast. So the different challenges that we met is that yes, the deposit maybe not enough in different islands where there is no informal sector, so the population is not encouraged to do it. So we have an issue. Not enough location for people to bring. And also sometimes we have the same levy on different continents. So this is a big bottle of 12 liters. So the informal sector is not interesting to collect those ones. They will prefer to take 10 small and receive more money. Like I said, there is no sorting bins and so on. So there is still bottles remaining in the landfill. Informal sector, sometimes they come and collect over there. There is an increase of the labels and so on, the shredders. So we don't pay the processors, but we give them something to kickstart. So for example, for the PET, we give them shredders, but now almost 20 years after, it's quite out of date. And the volatility of the market as well, it's difficult. For glass and that's all. So thank you everyone. So here my email address, and also if you want to have more, I don't have the link, but UNDP also write this small report on our system in Seychelles if you want to read more about it. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Camille. I it would be great if you can share that with us so that when we send the presentations, we can share with everyone the link to the report. We have some
for
questions.
sure.
So we don't have much time, so I will do like a wrap up of the questions that we have for you, Camille, and then we have another question also for Thais. So a question for you, Camille, which is a couple of questions, is so the consumer will not get the deposit back. I will do all of them, and then you can share the response. Yes, and also people in the public were wondering if the DRS rules are different in Dig Island than in Mahe Island. And the last question for you is, you mentioned single-use packaging, PET, cans, and glass to shred, but they are wondering if there is anything incorporation of refillable bottles into these DRS, or if there are now refillable bottles in Seychelles. There you go. And then you can respond now, and then I'll go for one question for Thais as well.
Okay, so no, regarding Ladig and Mahe and Pralin, the system is the same everywhere. So that's why we have this issue in Ladig, because Ladig is smaller. It's really touristic. There is not the presence of this informal sector. So there is a lot of consumption of plastic bottles, and unfortunately are ending in the landfill. So we really need to find a solution. Either we increase the levy on this island to have more people interested in it, or we try to find alternative to bring back everything to Mahe. The other question is if there is refillable. At the moment, some bottlers they refill the water bottle, so you can find it, but it's not all the population are sensitive about it. And the refill system is, like I said at the beginning, is with the breweries. For the beer, only for the beer they will reuse, and the soda, the soft drinks, these two. This business refill their drinks. And the first one, sorry, I forgot the question. The first question.
The other question was if the consumer was getting the deposit back.
Yeah, for sure. For the PET bottles, they receive 50 cents, so the half of what the importers pay. The cans as well, 50 cents rupees. And for the glass, it's 1 rupee back. So it goes to actually, it won't go to the consumer, because the consumer don't do the deposit refund scheme, but the informal sector that will collect at the bin side, they will bring to the redeem center, and the informal sector, so this guy interested in the levy will recover the money. The consumer can as well go to the redeem center, but unfortunately, it's not a common practice at the moment, but they can definitely go themselves and at the redeem center, and they will receive the money back as the informal sector.
Okay, thanks so much. Yeah, that's clear now. And now this is a question that could be for you, Camille, or Thais as well. What are your perspectives on DRS versus EPR, as the former seems not too attractive to the private sector? So I don't know if Thais would like to go first, but if you can give us your perspectives of deposit and return schemes versus extended producer responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not one or the other, and like they are complementary, and one can be a financial mechanism to implement, like EPR can be the financial mechanism, and DRS be part of how the solutions are implemented. But like based on our on our relationships, like of course, like our approach, like we take more like the quantitative opportunity of these different mechanisms, and our approach comes more on the potential, and then there is a lot of dialogue with different sectors, including the private sector, to identify what's the appetite and how feasible it is to implement different policies. And in St. Lucia, for instance, there is an interest from the private sector on the implementation of this DRS bill, and EPR has been, I think, growing, and like the support from the private sector has been growing a lot. So I didn't understand which one you mentioned as having less support from the private sector. But yeah, that has been our experience, that yeah, the interest from the private sector can be different from one region or one country to the other, but in different countries we have identified appetite for both mechanisms from the private sector.
Thanks. Camille, do you want to add something to that? Or should we pass one? I don't know, we have one time for one question for Kissy, but I will ask Martin. But if you want to add something, Camille.
I think we can
Yes, if I
do
can.
that one final question. Yes.
Okay.
So
If you
yes, just to add something, it's just in Seychelles, so we have the deposit reference scheme, but we hope that we will implement as well the EPR. But in my opinion, it's nice to have maybe the deposit reference scheme only on all the beverages to make it clear, a clear message that is on this. And the EPR must be applied for the other packaging, because if we put everything on the deposit reference scheme now, we will need to increase as well the government expenses to increase the capacity of our redeem centers, to have more locations, so it will apply more expenses. So we really need to think better about that.
Thanks, Camille and Thais. And Kissy, I don't know if you can respond this, or maybe you can write the response in the chat. But a question for you is: what is the responsibility of importers, fillers, and retail regarding the impacts of the one-way products that they put in the market of Rapa Nui and sell?
Thank you, Lucy. Can you please traducir en español?
Claro, perdón. ¿Cuáles son las responsabilidades? Si es que hay alguna responsabilidad en Rapa Nui para los importadores, los comerciantes que están poniendo los productos de un solo uso en Rapa Nui, ¿tienen alguna responsabilidad respecto a los impactos que están teniendo porque dejan ahí los productos y luego pues Rapa Nui?
Esa es toda la problemática que existe en Rapa Nui, que como no hay una fiscalidad, es un territorio exento de impuesto, entonces hay una verdadera libertad en los comerciantes de traer lo que ellos quieren y de venderlos. Pero se está, desde la municipalidad de Rapa Nui, de diferentes ONG Rapa Nui, se está potenciando una cultura de reducir y de llegar a basura cero. Es un desafío tremendo. Existe un sello donde les obligan a los comerciantes que entran en este sello, que quieren tener el sello, de reducir y de importar menos residuos, o sea, productos. Sí.
Buenísimo, muchísimas gracias. Qué bueno que te escuchamos súper bien.
Ahora sí.
Thank you so much, Martin. I think I'll leave you because we are at the end of
Thank
the
you.
web.
Thank you, Lucia.
Thanks for everyone.
Yes, thanks everyone for today's insights and experiences. And just a brief remark, and we mentioned this the past webinar as well, because what we see is that globally deposit and return systems are advancing actually and gaining momentum across different regions, and that's really positive, really encouraging. But at the same time, we also see that there is still significant uncertainty around how to design or implement these systems, specifically when you need to stop copying systems from Europe, for example, and think about what's suitable for our local region, our culture, our social needs, geography, and so on. And this is exactly where we want to shed light with the global DRS platform, and that's why we are starting to do this kind of webinars, to start hearing all voices and what's going on in different regions, and try to connect also different actors, with the vision of trying to build solutions that are good for each and every different type of region in the world. So we invite you all to stay connected with the Global DRS platform. Thanks again, everyone that was here. And we will have two following sessions, one in April, the 15th of April. That's going to be focused on other waste streams and DRS. And on the 17th of June, more focused on legislation around DRS. Then we are open also to have contacts for those who are interested on making more questions to the panel. We are going to transcribe everything and share the video of this presentation. Also, I think maybe Lucía, Kissy, we can maybe record Kissy's presentation and also upload it to our website so we don't miss the very valuable insights that she wanted to share. Unfortunately, for technical reasons, we couldn't do it today, but we will make sure that you get those as well. So thank you, everyone, and hope you have a great end of the week.